I meet so many people who are advanced English speakers and just aren't quite sure how they can improve. Maybe you have been studying English for years and you're not quite sure where your next opportunity is to improve. Maybe you feel like you have plateaued. Your English has leveled off and is no longer improving. Today, we're going to talk about some opportunities to improve, to get off that plateau and move your English to the next level. Let's go. Let's talk first about creativity and expressing yourself. Yes, you may be a high-level advanced speaker, but if you find yourself relying all the time on the same phrases, on the same ways of expressing yourself, well, maybe you need some new ways to do this. So if, for instance, you use the phrase, I think this, I think that, I don't think this, I don't think that, well, maybe you need a new way to say this. I like this, I don't like that. The same thing could apply. If you notice yourself always relying on the same phrases, then maybe it's time to explore some new ideas to do this. When you find yourself leaning on a phrase, well, take a moment, write it down and see if you can come up with 2 or 3 different ways, 2 or 3 different phrases to say the same thing. I talked a lot in last week's video about what I call dancing between tenses. Sure, you might be able to speak about something in the past tense, but can you also speak about it in the present tense and the future tense? On top of that, let's start thinking about different levels of formality. If you were speaking to a friend in a cafe, for instance, could you have that conversation and then go into giving a presentation at a university, say, on the same topic? The next thing I want to talk about today is looking for vocabulary in specific areas. So for instance, if your field is engineering, then absolutely you may be able to speak about engineering for hours. But what about, say, politics? If I tell you that the party has put a 3-line whip on this next vote, and there may even be a referendum if it fails to pass. Do you know what I am talking about? What about music? If I say that there was a cacophony as the orchestra was tuning up, can you follow along? If not, then maybe you should look at getting some resources from that area, from an area that you would be interested in speaking about. Finding those phrasal verbs, finding those idioms and that vocabulary that is specific to that field. Which of course brings us on to the next topic that I want to talk about, which is phrasal verbs and idioms. Now, often you will hear English tutors, English coaches talk about these in the same way. However, idioms and phrasal verbs are not exactly equal. You will hear us use, as native speakers, phrasal verbs a lot more than we use idioms. Therefore, if you are looking for something generally to add to your vocabulary, then let's start looking at some phrasal verbs. The last I heard, there are over 5,000 phrasal verbs in the English language. Some are specific to different areas, different fields. Some are specific to different geographies, American English or British English, or maybe even Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, different native English speaking communities. So if you're looking for somewhere to go next, think about phrasal verbs. If you want a great method, a great tool for finding out exactly how you speak English and how you use your English language ability, then I have a great video for that. I made it last week and I will link it right up here.